So this lesson is going to be about playing closed position triads on bass. And we're going to be thinking about these shapes a little bit differently than what we normally do when we are thinking about triad shapes and playing things one note at a time. Normally when we're doing that, we have the tendency to always think from the bottom up. For example, if we have a D major triad, we have D, F sharp, A. Obviously we start with D, it's a D major triad. Even if it's an inversion, for example, second inversion, where the fifth is on the bottom, we have A, D, F sharp. It's natural for us to think like that because we're bass players. It's also, most of music theory forces us into this sort of mindset. We're now going to think about it in terms of the top note, and then building from the top note down. And there's a good reason for this, and I'll explain it in a second. Let's first start with a basic C major triad in closed position. Normally we'll think C, E, G. Cool. Now we're thinking of it differently. We're going to start with the C on top, and then we're going to build down from there. So we have C, G, E. Instead of C, E, G, we have C, G, E. And so this is our shape right here of a C major triad with C on top, which ends up being the same as a first inversion C major triad, but more importantly, for our purposes right now, we're thinking of this as the C major shape with C on top. We can do this, of course, with E on top. E, G, or E, C, G. There we go, which ends up being a second inversion triad. And of course, we can do it with G on top. G, E, C. So these are the three shapes of C major, but the way that we arrived at them and the way that we're thinking about them is with the top note being sort of our nexus. That's where we're thinking of, top note. E on top, C on top, G on top. We can do this, of course, with all the four types of triads. We can do it with a minor triad, so C, G, E flat, G, C, G, E flat, C. Cool. So we can do that with the diminished triad. C, G flat, E flat, C, G flat, and of course G flat, E flat, C. And that one is probably the least practical triad. It's very, it's kind of an annoying stretch, and it doesn't really sound that great anyway. We can also do it with augmented triads, and remember, augmented triads are symmetrical, which means that the intervals in between each one of the notes are the same. They're all major thirds, so that basically means that we have the same exact chord shape no matter where we are in the triad. So C, G sharp, E, E, C, G sharp, E, C. It's kind of a nice thing to play around with. Anyway, so those are the basic chord shapes and the basic triads. Like, you can go and practice them. But more importantly, why did we do it? Why did we do it like that? Well, it's important because of a concept called chord melody. It basically says that in a given chord, the top note is the one that really matters. And if you arrange chords in a certain way, it's the top note which is going to sound like the melody note. In this way, the guitar players and piano players, they've known this forever, they can create melodies, and the ear naturally is drawn to the top note. And by thinking of these shapes this way, we can sort of draw not only our ear, but our sort of mindset in terms of like how we're thinking about playing chords to the top note. So for example, I'll just show you how this could work. If we just take the first opening line of the American National Anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. Cool, that's the basic melody, but those are all that's just a C major triad arpeggiated, G, E, C, E, G, C. We can just apply what we just learned in terms of playing those C major triad shapes within the top notes, ends up sounding like this.